A new case of COVID-19 in Muskoka, but are we slowing down? Doug Ford comments on new economic framework. And the newest journalist to hit Muskoka is making a splash on Caesars Lane. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to Cogeco News for April 27th. I'm James Bowler with what's happening in your community. Well, Muskoka has another case of COVID-19 to report. This time a woman in her 40s from Huntsville, although the cause of her infection is still under investigation. But it's not all doom and gloom, as Dr. Charles Gardner with the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit says our region's infection rate appears to be slowing down.
We know in Simcoe Muskoka that that's been lengthening out, which is a very good thing. That's exactly what we want to see. We also know that our doubling time is longer than it's been in the province. So I just pulled that up in front of me. The doubling time now in Simcoe Muskoka is 21.7 days. So it's taking almost 22 days to double the number of cases that we have. And that's up from a week ago when it was 14.9 days. So it's moving very much in the right direction. That's what you see when it's plateauing, slowing down. Obviously, when you start to get a decline in cases, then it's no longer doubling at all. It's rapidly declining.
Meanwhile, the Premier says Ontario's plan to get the economy back on track has no set date yet.
This is a roadmap. It's not a calendar. It's a roadmap. So we're going to continue working hard, and I just encourage everyone, please continue following the protocols. We've come so far with this fight, and we just don't want to give up now. We want to continue moving forward, and the quicker we see the numbers come down, the quicker we can get things back to normal. And I fully understand people are itching to get back to work. I hear it. I talk to these people. In Colin, there's no one wants to open up the economy more than I do. I know we're seeing some challenges with the economy right now, but I'm totally confident. We had the economy on fire before, and I'm confident we're going to do it again. We're going to light a fire underneath the economy.
And joining me now from the Bracebridge Chamber of Commerce is Brenda Rhodes. Brenda, thank you once again for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Brenda, we're going to be talking about the updated situation with how the province is planning to roll out the economy post, I don't want to say post COVID-19 because we're still going to be within COVID-19, but post this sort of isolation that we've been under. First of all, I just want to kind of hear your thoughts. I know there hasn't been a huge sort of explanation as to how businesses are expected to reopen, but I just wanted to get some of your idea of what you gleaned from that.
Sure. So it's a three-stage approach where some businesses will start to open up, the ones that they feel can do that the safest, and then move into the next stage where they add on more and then more. And I think right now they're going into a consultation period, and as far as I understand, Norm will start these consultations sector by sector, and will be the opportunity for those sectors to tell him and the province how they will be able to provide safe environments so they can open up. So I'm happy about that. I think that that's a good approach, hearing it from the actual owners of how they believe they can keep people safe.
Now, if I read a bit into more of this too, and it said that first stage, the businesses could open that would be able to follow through with health guidelines. And in brackets, they were saying curbside pickup, for an example. So it looks as though the province is going to continue this curbside pickup mentality, at least for the first wave, which could last up to 4 weeks. And then possibly look at maybe opening places like dining rooms in restaurants and things like that. So feasibly, we could be looking at least almost 2 months before these things open. Again, from your perspective, how do you see that sort of affecting local businesses as they are right now?
Well, a lot of our local businesses have made the adjustment or are trying to make the adjustment on how they start selling online and how they provide those curbside pickups. the BIA has been working with them, and we've been sending out information as best as we can to try to make sure that they're armed with that kind of stuff that gives the tips and tricks on how they can do that. But for the most part, I think the businesses that can do so are in that transition or have done that transition already.
So Brenda, let's talk about let's roll back a bit here and talk quickly about this rental subsidy that was announced last week. 75% off of your rent sounds like a pretty I don't want to say good deal, but it's more help to these people that are in need. Do you know if there are businesses in Bracebridge that will be, sort of help take advantage of this?
Absolutely. I know any programs that are coming out that can help the businesses, it helps them right now. Obviously, all of our businesses are struggling. So this rent piece is one of a major component, and I think it helps the businesses, but also those owners of those properties too, right? Because I think there was that, oh, they might not pay on the business side, and businesses worried that they can pay, right? So I think this helps tremendously, and like I said, any program that can help the businesses at this time, we're encouraging them to take advantage of.
Now, Brenda, again, back to this announcement, they're saying they're going to be checking in with chambers specifically and other organizations. And I know Norm and Scott recently did a roundtable with you. As a chamber, are you feeling heard?
Absolutely. And we've tried to gather data through surveys, and in the background, we are working with all the chambers together in a collaborative approach. We're also coming to the district to try to extend that collaborative approach, where we're asking them to create a recovery committee that's local, that will be Muskoka wide, to look at this stuff as a larger picture and how we can move forward together. And for us, advocacy is a big piece for us, and we've been at the table and we've been able to make sure that the business's voice has been heard for sure.
Okay, so Brenda, one thing I do want to finally touch down on here, in the third stage of this rollout plan, it's saying the province would still look at banning large-scale public events. Now, if we look ahead, there's a major large-scale public event coming up in a couple of months, which is Canada Day. And I know that is a big business event for not only for the Chamber, but for Rotary and a few other organizations in Bracebridge specifically. So being that you have two hats, you have your Chamber and your Rotary hat, just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. It seems quite obvious that we're not going to be seeing a Canada Day celebration in Bracebridge this year.
Absolutely. And I actually sit on the Canada Day committee in Rotary, and obviously through the chambers, through the part that we take up through the chamber. We've met and we've discussed this, knowing that this was probably coming down the pipe. Although a definitive cancellation hasn't been set yet, we know that we're looking at it, and we're taking the lead from the province and municipally and district level on those guidelines, and we'll follow those guidelines. We also talked about, can this be delayed? Can we do this later on in the season? So those are options for us, but again, no concrete decision has been made yet.
Okay. Brenda Rhodes, thank you very much for taking the time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, Brenda Rhodes, the Executive Director for the Bracebridge Chamber of Commerce. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Well, Gravenhurst Mayor Paul Kelly reacted to the province's announcement about reopening the economy earlier today. He also talked to us about the need in his community, this after many weeks of COVID-19.
I think a lot of people have been hearing some positive things about the number of cases becoming less. Certainly in Muskoka, that's been the case. But I think nationally that has been the case. And I think there's been some anticipation that we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And I think today's announcement, I think people were kind of, as they've been hearing other provinces starting to relax some of their restrictions. And I think today, with Doug Ford's announcement and his ministers, that I think there was probably some anticipation. There might be some specifics around businesses that might be able to get started and move forward into the essential side. But it appears as though that's not going to be the case. They really are talking in more generality about how they plan on going, but not necessarily when, and not specifically what businesses are potentially going to be affected. Again, there's lots of people that have been affected, not only individuals and families, but also businesses. So what we've been doing at the district level as well as locally is try to address some of those concerns from an individual and family perspective, but also from business. So at the local level in Gravenhurst, last week, the district of Muskoka allocated funds from the province. $656,000 was allocated across the district of Muskoka, and Gravenhurst was the recipient. I believe we were somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6 or 7 of our agencies within the community that received funding to allow them to continue forward. So besides the monies that were given from the district of Muskoka to our agencies within Gravenhurst, we also just last week, the council determined that from our Terrence Hate Fund, which the community is aware, we take so much a year and provide to agencies across the town. We've set aside $25,000 of that amount, which will be accessible to agencies as they find needs. One of the things, one quick example I'll give you of how things have changed. Gravenhurst Against Poverty, every Thursday night, as just one example, they would do dinners, and people would come into Trinity United Church. And weekly, it was about 60, if I understand correctly, about 60 that would come in for those dinners. That has escalated to over 200 needing dinners on a Thursday, which all require, of course, delivery now, as opposed to they're not able to come into the church for those dinners. So that's one example of the increase that we've seen in our community, and I suspect it's probably true for many others. The increase we've seen happen with regard to those that are in need more so than ever before.
Back here in Huntsville, while trying to navigate this COVID-19 situation, you may be feeling some deja vu while also trying to navigate construction on King William. King William is back to being dissected once again as the district continues its work from last summer to replace the aging infrastructure below the surface. Despite the influence of COVID-19 affecting some construction work, this particular rehabilitation was deemed essential, allowing the district to kick off work right on schedule, according to manager Mark Misko.
We'd messaged earlier this year that we'd like to start as early as possible. We're ahead. There's still half load restrictions on the roadways. This road is exempt outside of those restrictions anyway, so we can start as early as possible. We're fortunate in that we didn't have a recurrence last year of the high water levels that we saw come through the entire district. So we were able to start a bit earlier, and the weather's been, I would say, kinder than most years coming out of winter to us. So we were able to start optimistically as early as we wanted to on this one, and we got the construction mobilized out there.
But that does mean major detours once again, closures, and some struggles for local businesses.
To be honest, it's tough to tell exactly when those closures will be lifted, but we are using a staged approach to these closures. So we still have that phasing that was originally part of the contracts. You're seeing between Ferry and Can Street at this point. So we'd be opening those up as the job progressed forward and as they become available for full traffic operations. So there are some localized shutdowns now. Part of that is to try and accelerate the schedule on this job. Another part is that they've really been challenged to find another laydown area that's sufficiently close to the job. So they are storing some material within the job site, and that's necessitating the need for some of the operational or traffic constraints you're seeing.
So the question is, will this work be completed as originally planned by the end of this year?
It is construction, so it's tough to say exactly what the future holds. There's no magic crystal ball that we can give a firm end date on this, but we're looking at as many options as we can to accelerate the schedule. One of those being you'll see them working out there this Saturday. So we're starting to extend some of the working hours. And then the Saturdays moving forward, there's also some potential to work there. So we're going to take that on a week-to-week basis to try and maintain the schedule as much as possible. You know, we're always looking at different construction methods and options to see if we can accelerate the work. If we can, we'd love to.
Well, we're back to the break, but when we come back, a look at how a young Bracebridge boy has channeled his inner kindness ninja. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, a young boy in Bracebridge was surprised over the weekend when he found out he won the Ninja Health Challenge.
Today we were surprising one of our students that took part in a challenge, the Ninja Health Challenge. And so we wanted to do a little bit something a little bit special, a little bit, out of the blue. So we are a martial arts and parkour and film school. So we thought, how about we dressed up as ninjas, since this was a Ninja Health Challenge, and surprise this student right in the driveway and do a little performance for him. As we are performing type schools, I'm a professional stuntman, on my off time. And so I always like to incorporate a little bit of performance in our challenges and classes and so forth.
Were we surprised today? Very surprised. So Avery participated and I just helped him. So he had to drink a certain amount of water every day. He had to do exercise every day. He had to, what else do you have to do? Do some journals. Some what? Meditation, which he's still doing every evening. Fresh air every day, and no sweets, which was where he struggled.
Another part of the challenge is doing ninja acts of kindness. And so Avery did some incredible things, including washing the public mailboxes for his neighbors and bringing steaks to his next door neighbor, as well as he made a basket of snacks for first responders in Bracebridge and made some hearts for his friends to put in their windows, which is incredible.
The most important thing right now is for our students, or any child in general, to have structure and have a sense of community that's still alive. We're cooped up, but we still have to have that sense of community and structure for the kids. And they've been working hard for the last year or a couple months, depending on how long they've been with us, on certain goals, and we want them to remain the course, to stay the course, and not just stay the course on their goals, but maybe this is a chance to also achieve new goals. They have more time, more free time, more reflection time, to really dig deep mentally, physically, to know what they really want out of life.
Well, it's definitely the best ninja I've ever seen. We're taking another quick break, but when we come back, a look at another young man who could be the next big journalist in Muskoka. Welcome back. Well, a budding young journalist is striving to bring good news amid the bad to residents along his street on Caesars Lane in Huntsville. Now, I stopped in last week to get a look at this reporter in action.
I said, okay, let's do Caesars Lane News. And that's how it all happened.
I call it hyper local news. It's just fun little things about the goings on on Caesars Lane, and it can be anything from somebody starting a garden to, as you heard, there's a deer skeleton, or could be the weather, jokes of the day, whatever it might be. So it's really fun.
We brainstorm ideas about the street, and if there are any news anyone needs to tell us, they just text my dad or mom. Yeah. And I write it in the newspaper.
We're fairly new to this street, so it's been really nice to meet everybody, and through the news reports, I think they actually get to know about each other too.
Definitely an up-and-coming journalist there, and stay tuned because that might not be the last time you see Ralph on this show. We are taking our last break, but when we come back, a recap of today's headlines. Welcome back. Let's take a look at your recap for the day. One new case of COVID-19 has been confirmed in Muskoka. The woman in her 40s was recently tested, but the cause of her infection is still under investigation. But Dr. Charles Gardner says we are seeing more and more signs of the infection slowing down in our region and rates plateauing. Meanwhile, the Ford government has announced a framework to bring the economy back. Premier says there's no date yet on when this could be rolled out. And you can always stay up to date on all local news by watching YourTV's Cogeco News, 5 o'clock every day. That is Cogeco News. For more information on the program, head over to yourtv.tv or connect with us on social media by searching YourTV Muskoka. And remember to catch us live at 5 Monday to Thursday. From everyone here at Cogeco News, thanks for watching. Stay home, stay safe.